Hey, good morning, students, or good afternoon, students. So we want to basically discuss how to basically geo-reference GIS data and also do digitizing. So as you know, normally through secondary data source of GIS data collection, you receive data, but it may not be in the correct coordinate system. So you'd want to georeference the data before even you do digitizing, whereby digitizing is simply creating a data set from a scanned, for example, map, and you want to extract out particular features. So to aid this, we have software that we use, and that software, excuse me, is either ArcGIS or QGIS, but we prefer QGIS, which is open source. So I type here QGIS. So I've installed QGIS. And this QGIS is version 3.18, though any version can still do what we are going to do, but using a higher version is better. Maybe even the one I've used could be easier when you are following the steps that we follow through. So software is there, basically opening. It's free, easy to install, and basically to maneuver. So when I open, obviously we are seeing these other projects I've been working on, but you can come here to project and then we open new. So basically with this software, we have the canvas where we do the manipulation here in white in color. We have the menus. We have the icons, which are, you can see these pictures here, but they are called toolbars. So there are very many functionalities that you can learn, but since we are going to concentrate on only digitizing and the georeferencing, and I didn't want this video to be very long. But these menus, whatever is in the menu, also is within the icons. So you can see settings, plugins for adding. So basically, the project is for main things like opening, saving your work, editing, what you are drawing, views to view, visualize your GIS data layers, to create thematic maps of particular features, settings, plugins, additional softwares to expand the capability of your GIS. Vectors is the type of data that you work with, points, lines, and polygons. Raster is normally photographs, databases, web, mesh. Then this is just a plugin I use to access base maps. Then to access the imagery, I have another plugin I've installed. Processing, these are more advanced algorithms or tools. And this is what you see on the side here. And then help, obviously, for help and so forth. So under view, if you are lacking any toolbar or panels. So panels is what you are seeing on the sides here, showing the layers I've opened and so forth. Those are panels. So the panels we have, as you can see there, many panels. The ones which are checked are active, the ones that are not checked are not active. So if I want to check them, I just click in them. Toolbars, the same thing. If I want to check, to make them active, I check. If not, I don't. So basically, if you want to digitize, we basically use a tool under raster, and it's called the georeferencer. This is sorry for georeferencing before even you digitize. So we go to raster georeferencer. So when I click on it, it opens for me the place where actually I do the georeferencing. Okay. So that's how basically you open. So I can close it and first open just on the sheet here what you are going to georeference. So how do you are going to add a scanned map that we are going to georeference? So I come to layer just to visualize it and understand it, add layer. Then I come to add raster layer. Why raster layer? Because it's a scanned map of Uganda that we are going to use, but it's not georeferenced. So I come here, add. It brings this dialog box. Make sure raster is selected. Here you have raster data sets. So just at the end, you have after the input box, some other button with some 3 very small buttons you can't clearly see. If I put my cursor there, it shows me to browse. So I click there. Then I come. So I look for say. So I'm looking for where the data is. Let me see. Just a moment there. So we have here. Here. Done a bit. So where will my data be? Is it here? Yeah. So it is here. So you can say I have Ginger, I have Kampala, then I have Uganda. So open the data, then I click here to add. Okay. Then I can close. So this is the map. So when I zoom in, you can see. So it has coordinates. If I can just see up here, you see the coordinates. Maybe it's good to start from down. So it has grids and it has geographical coordinates, that's latitude and longitude. So if I just come to the bottom right, have to start from here. Bottom right. Okay. So yeah, so you see we have a longitude of 30, then 30 and the 30 degrees and 30 minutes, 31 degrees, okay. Then 31 degrees and 30 minutes. Okay, so for the longitudes, okay, so for the latitudes, sorry. See here. You have to be careful. Okay. Normally, it's encouraged to have a mouse. Normally, if you have a laptop, because it's a bit tricky without a platform. So you can see the latitudes also. So we have the northern or latitudes. You have them there. So you can just right click on it and zoom to layer to capture the whole thing. So normally the idea, you can just investigate if you're in the right coordinate system. You see that, for example, it's not georeference. So I'm going to use the grids now. This is the georeferencing using the grids, because it has correct grids and correct labeling, but in the software itself, it's not in the right coordinate system. So I come to raster, georeferencer. Then you come now to load. So you come to file, open raster, then you open. So when you're georeferencing, you don't georeference from the other side, but you georeference from the georeferencer. So I open, you see, then it comes. So the first step is, as you can see, there are very many options. We have to open raster, start georeferencing, generate GDAL script. We have load GCP points, save GCP points. Then we have settings, okay? So then we have the adding a point or deleting a point or moving a point, and then you have panning, zooming, zoom out, and so forth. But of interest here, or if you have forgotten, you can just come here and you come to choose any you want, okay, or edit and add a point. Now the idea is that you are going to choose 4 points that we are going to use for georeferencing, and these points you're supposed to know their coordinates. So even if you don't use grids, if at all you have even like a static image that's not georeferenced and you can identify it and also identify it on the ground and identify it in the image, and go there and pick its coordinates using, for example, a GPS or a total station, then you can use those coordinates. But for me, I'm going to use now the grid. So I say add point, then I zoom. So I zoom, for example. So I'm going to use the first point is this, and I'm going to use this intersection. So I just now come and click there. So it asks me for the easting and then northing. So for the northing, which I can see there already, is let me see. So where did I click? So where I clicked, it was 0 and 30. So how do you enter? It always shows you here. If there are degree minute second, you enter 00, then space bar 30 minutes. Okay. Then if you add seconds, you'd have put also seconds. So the latitude, okay. Okay. So so we move along this to go to the northing. So I can just pick this and come up to see the longitude. So the longitude could be should be this. So I come here and I put 34. This is the one, 34, space 30 minutes. And I say okay. So I've put 1 point. You can see where the point is. It's in red. If I zoom, you see it here. It's in red. So just to confirm, it's good to confirm. Okay. I've put the right thing. 030, then also 34, 5. Okay. So then it's good. I choose them in a square format. So I come up and choose one maybe here. So I'm going to use one at latitude of 3 degrees and 30 minutes. So you come here to edit, add point, and click on the grid. So to make this grid that, so come here, 03, then 30, then what is the longitude is the same, so you can see 34, 30. So I'm maintaining the same longitude there so that I have a square, as you see the points at the end. So I say okay. So when I finish, you see now, you see my points in a straight line. So I can come, then I pick other points. So I'm going to pick on the same latitude to maintain this line. So I'm going to pick a point on that latitude of 330 somewhere. So maybe I'll come and pick 330. So it will be here. So let me zoom in now here. Okay. So I'm still in add point. So I just left click there. So it is 330, if I'm not mistaken. Sometimes you can forget. Let me see. Yeah, 330. So, but now the problem is 330, but which longitude? So they have moved, I'll say no cancel, I'm not sure. So because I moved a lot. So 330, I need to be careful. So I click there. So remember, latitude is northing. So 03, then 30. Then for the easting, which is the longitude, I come here and it is 31:30. So 31 space bar 30 minutes. So when you use space bar, it understands these are minutes and these are seconds. Then I say okay. So then you can see, okay, square. So now I'm going to use the last one, which should be 0 degrees 30 minutes for latitude, and then 30. This is what we had, what 31 degrees and 30 for easting. So I just use this. I try to see where they intersect. Okay, so I move along here until somewhere here. I need to know 030 and then 31:30. So I see, I try to be careful here. Yes, yeah. Okay, so I click there. So it is 03, no, 00, 30 for the northing, which is the latitude. Okay, then for the longitude, which is the easting, it was 31, 30. So if you use the wrong ones, you'll be in problems. See? So you can see when I zoom, you see the points are in square format. It's better. Don't choose triangular, don't choose. So, and it should occupy a bigger area as much as possible. So after finishing there, I now come to make the settings of how I want to do the projection. So there are types of transformation. Now, what has happened here, if you look, if I may cancel this a bit, is that I have picked points on the map. The coordinates are not known, but or by the system, but the map, they are labeled. So me as a person, I'm telling the system that where I've picked, these are the right coordinates. Can you please readjust and compute every pixel so that it's a correct coordinate system? But what parameters will it use? So the transform parameters, transform type, thin plate spline is normally the preferred, but you can use linear, helmet, polynomial 1, polynomial 2, polynomial 3, and even projective. But for when you are dealing with flat surfaces, the thin plate has happened to behave well, so that's why we use it. Then the resampling, because it resamples every pixel. Nearest neighbor is the most preferred because it doesn't adjust so much the pixel values. Okay. Coordinate system, you're using WGS84, which is in latitude and long, where the raster will be stored, the modified one. So it comes with the word modified. You can navigate where you want to store it. So maybe I can leave it. So it always picks where you picked the original, because remember the original did not have modified on. So I say I accept. Compression, no. Save GCP points. You can save the points you want, but I will not save them. You can generate a PDF map. You can generate a PDF report, but all those for me, I will not do them. Otherwise, if you wanted to generate, you would go here and browse and go there. So then you say, okay. So after that, that was just for settings. Now to start the actual georeferencing, you can use this green button, which is the start georeferencing, or you can come to file and still select start georeferencing. So the idea was pick the GCP points, which are called the ground control points. So I've specified the ground control points to do the referencing. That was one. Then number two, I specify the settings of how I want the transformation to be done in the georeferencing. Then lastly, to start the georeferencing. So when I start, so you can see now the progress, 6%, 10%, 20%, 24, 26, okay? So down here it's showing me the area of what I've picked. So after doing the transformation, so it should be very small. If the values here are big, where you have the Y, and the residual pixels, the Y and X being big, then problems. But these are small enough where we have 0, that's okay. Yeah, so there it has finished. So then doing the georeferencing, you can see telling you that the georeferencing was successful. You can save or not save. I say discard, I do not save it. So then I can remove this original one. And then I add. Now I'm going to add through, remember how we add layers? You come to layer, add layer, add raster layer. This time I will navigate because the same folder will open, but now we have Uganda modified. You see it here? So then I say add, I say close. So now it has come, and now you notice here that the coordinates are correct. Now, if you are not noticed, okay, this is how you switch off the layer. Let me bring the one which is not georeferenced, and you see. Add raster. Okay. Remember, we brought this one. Remember at the beginning. Add, close. Now, if I right click on Uganda and zoom to it, you see. Now, you see when I go, I'll give you an example. When I go to, I take the cursor. I take the cursor just like to this corner where the latitude is, for example, 1 degree and 0. You see? You see what it reads in the, where you have the coordinates down here. The things are in 10,000 and negatives, they are wrong. So, but the one, if I open the one, I've just georeferenced and I right clicked it, okay? Is that when I go like to this latitude, which is 0, okay? And I go there, you see that, because here I'm in the negative side, but if I 0, it is around 0. You can see it here. Even when you go to the longitude now, which is 34 degrees and 30 minutes, obviously it's telling you 34.5, whereby 30 minutes like 0.5 of a degree. So you see that this one, which is georeferenced, when you look down in the coordinates make sense. So if you digitize something that's not georeferenced, the original that we had, all the things you have digitized are in a wrong coordinate system. Or yes, they're in a wrong coordinate system. So you need to do things in the correct coordinate system. So therefore, we'll use now this, okay? So for digitizing, we're going to see now how to digitize in just a short time. Now we have already prepared something that is digitized. I mean, that is georeferenced in the correct coordinates. Now how do you digitize? Now inside here, we have 3 things. We have lakes, which can be polygons, because you can see them there. We have roads and we have rivers, which can be lines, okay? Then we have, I think these are towns like Bulenga, Bunakula, Bushei, which could be towns, okay, which are points, okay. So that's a majorly the three formats in which you can actually digitize, and that is vector data. What we are digitizing behind is a raster data set, okay. So how do you digitize? You come to layer, come to create layer, then you come to new shape file layer, like that. Then where there's file name, now we're going to start with digitizing first a polygon. So you come to, you browse, okay, you come to where you have file name, you first browse. Then after browsing, so let me go where we had our layer, our modified layer. The moment. So I think it was here. Okay. So I can even create folders. So I can create a folder here, and I call this would be Lex layer. Then I create another folder. You see why I create these folders. Then you can call this rivers layer. Oh, sorry, A is in capital. Create another. Can call this now towns. Towns layer. So now I can open the folder for Lex, and I can just call it Lex. Just Lex. I say save. Now that's the first thing. Then file coding, we leave it default. Geometrical type, you come here and click. Now you ask yourself, a leg is a polygon. So you come here and select polygon. Okay. Coordinate system, leave it as WGS84. Then you ask yourself, what information do you want the legs to have? So that's why now you add fields that are going to be asked for that lake, for example. So you say the lake, I want to know the for the lake, I want to know the name. Name, what type of data is it? It is text. String, you can leave it as 80. You come here and click on add to field list. Then the lake, I want to know maybe the type. Type also maybe freshwater lake. You can also click on that, leave it as text. Maybe you want to know the depth of the lake. So depth could be, if you click now on this drop down arrow for the type, maybe whole number to know the depth, but you can put here the depth in brackets is in meters. You add, then after you say okay, immediately you say okay, it is added where? Here as lakes. You can see now in the layers panel, it's added as lakes. Okay. So if it's added as lakes, you zoom to the lake you want to start. Maybe you can start with the maybe Lake Albert. So I just come here now to the lake. I right click on it to make it editable. I click on Tongo editing. So I right click and go to Tongo editing. So there is a toolbar that is activated. You may not see it, but let me pull it out. It always looks like this. Are you seeing with the two pencils? Then on it, the fourth icon is for adding the polygon. So you simply click on that. Then you come and start digitizing the lake. Just come and left click at different points. Okay, so I'll not be very precise because of I don't want this video to be long. So I just do that, digitize the lake. This is Lake Albert, so I'm just digitizing, but quickly. So to capture Lake Albert, so I'm left clicking. When I reach the end, I right click. So when you right click, it asks you all the information that you wanted to pick: name, type, and depth. So I'll just put the name because it's Albert. The type, you put something. What's the type? Maybe fresh. Then the depth, you can put maybe 50. So then say, okay, you see now the lake is created. So let's digitize now Edward. So just come and continue. So you click, I'm left clicking. When I reach the end, I right click, it brings me to put the information. So I type Edward and I will not add the others. I say okay. Then we have George. So as I come here, click very fast, I'm left clicking. But for you have to be more careful to follow the edges. Then I right click at the end. So I give the name George. Okay. So then I can come to Lake Victoria. So start digitizing it. Okay. So you have to be very critical and careful. I'm just illustrating. When you reach the end, you right click. Eh? So this is Victoria. Okay. Then for Choga, you can also come. It's sophisticated. So we are digitizing all these things. You have to take your time and carefully pass the lines. When you finish, you right click. So you type Choga. So okay, so you have your Lex layer there. So you can right click on the layer, go to properties. Then under symbology, click on symbol fill and come where there's color fill and change the color because legs are blue. Then apply, then you have there your legs layer. So if you switch off that, you have your legs layer. See? So when you finish normally, you just right click on it and come to switch off the toggle editing to always ask you, do you want to save? We say yes. So when you right click and open the attribute table, right click on the layer of just click and open the attribute table. The things you added are there, you see. So you want to put names mostly. Okay. So but I can close that attribute table. So maybe if I open the attribute table again, because I made it big, but you can see now this is the attribute table. So what about if you want to add a layer? This time to digitize, maybe we add rivers. So you right click, create a layer, you come to new shapefile layer. So a new shapefile layer, then you navigate the same thing. So to give it a file name. So you basically go to the rivers. So when you click on the rivers, so you come and label rivers there. So then you ask yourself, what do you want to know about the river? The name. So you can leave the text as it is, and then 80 meters there you add. Then the type. Or you can say maybe length of a river. So the type of the length of a river, you could give it whole number because it's symmetric. Then you come, don't forget always to add. Then length, maybe, the river, maybe you want to know the depth. So depth is also a whole number, you add. Then maybe you also want to know the type. If that whole type makes sense, then you just save. So before you save, it's asking for the geometric type, remember. So that's why it's not active here. So don't forget, for the rivers, they are lines. So you click on line, and it becomes active here and say okay. So now it's already allow you to digitize rivers. So let's look for some few rivers here and digitize them. So you come to the rivers layer, right click, and then select toggle editing. Now our toolbar, you can see it here, it's active. Or where is it? And now you come and click on the fourth icon, you see, for adding a line feature. Then you start digitizing each river. So you start with this one, come and be left clicking. until where it stops. Right click, so it will ask you about that river. Okay, so this one I think it's what, Chitumbezi. The other information you can even put later. So then you come and digitize another river. I right click, I just say okay, digitize another river. Now for you have to follow the rivers properly. Right click, say okay, digitize another river. So river or a tributary of that river. So you can give a name for each, or later on in a bit of advanced bit, sometimes you can join them, but for us here, we're just learning how to digitize, just basics. Right click, say okay. So you digitize a line at a time for now. Merging them, you can find a way of merging them later in a more advanced, slightly advanced video. So when I'm digitizing, I just left click. Then to finish, I just right click. It brings me this box to enter the information, but I'm not entering for now. Right click, then I come, left click, right click, okay. Okay, I can have this one here, right click, so okay. So when I come to rivers layer here, right click and say, I switch off the Tongo editing, it prompts me to save. So I just say save, everything is saved. Now when I switch off Uganda, you see now the rivers have been digitizing, those are the rivers. So I can also change their colors because rivers are not that color. Just right click, go to properties. I click on properties. I come, I click on the simple line here, make sure symbology is selected. Then I come here where there is color, click on the drop down arrow, and I select a color for a river. So maybe it's also blue, but line, then I apply, and you have okay. So those are your rivers that I've from where I've digitized. So then I can bring back the map. Then lastly, we can see how to digitize a point. So you still come to layer, create shapefile layer. Okay, not that. So when I click, it brings the shapefile, the new shapefile layer. What is file name? I look at input box. I don't type the name there, but I go to the small button which has the 3 small buttons at the end. Then I click on those. So then I come back to my folder. Now remember, we have finished lakes, we have finished rivers. Now I want to do towns. So I open the towns. Then I click here, towns. I write there towns, and I say I save. So I come a coding, you leave it the way it is, file a coding. Geometrical type, you click the drop down arrow, and this time you select points because towns are points. Okay. Then you come here. What do you want to know about towns? So the first field or the remember the table here, you're putting the headers for the columns in the table. So you want to know the name of the town. The text for the name is the type is text. The length is 80. So don't forget to always add to field list. And remember, there's what we call the ID for it. It's already there, the automatically generated number. But in QGIS, we add it. In ArcGIS, it's automatically generated. So you add there. What else do you want to know about the town? Maybe you can want to know about the age when it was established. So age maybe in what? Maybe age could be what? Can age, but for you, you can maybe know age can be what? Maybe the type can be date. So you say maybe it's date, you add. What else do you want to know about a town? Maybe the size. Maybe the size could be in area. Okay. Oh, sorry. So the size, maybe it's in area. So for size, that one would be in what? It depends. It could be a whole number or it could be a decimal number. It depends on how you are going to capture the area. So if it's a decimal number, you click decimal number and you add it. Okay. So after you finish here, okay. You see now it has brought for here towns and their points. You see, if I do that. So you just right click always on them, go to Tongo editing, select that option. It makes it editable. How do you know? It brings a pencil. Now just come, remember this is the icon we use with the pencils on it. You come to the third icon, fourth icon, left click on it, then just go to every town and click on it. When you click on it, pop, it is captured for it immediately. Just say okay. You see it draws the point. Another town, draw. Town. So like you can label, you can name, like this one is what? Nachivumbi. Okay. What else? What other one do we have? So I can pick many towns. This is I just left click here. Because I don't have other information for now. I can put this is Bulungwi. So okay. Just pick towns. This is Nankoma. Just left click there. What's the name? Nankoma. Okay. Any town in the vicinity. Bulangala. Just come, click, left click there. Name it. Bulangala. Then pick another one there. This is Buenje. Then I see we have here another town. Just click there. Name Bani. Okay. So you change you many, even here there's another one here, Blopa. Click there. Blopa, like that. So when you finish also the same thing, just come here, right click and click toggle editing again. It asks, do you want to save? I say yes. I switch off the layer for the one I've used for digitizing to see my points. So those are the points I picked. Okay. So I'm not happy with their size. I just right click on the towns, come to properties or raise. Then under symbology, I can pick any, I can pick this dot, maybe the red dot, I just click on it. Those are inbuilt. When I say apply, you see how they change. If I want to change to now label them with the names I've given, I just come to labels, I click on labels. Now here there's no labels, there's nothing, but I come to the drop down arrow and I say do single labeling. So single labels. So it tells me under value, what do you want to label with? So when I click down, remember the things I entered, name, age, and size, I say I want to label with name. Then these other things down are just for modifying the beauty of the labels, but first say apply, and then you see the labels for the towns actually have come. So this one that doesn't have, I did not actually label it. I did not give it a name. That's why it doesn't have. So if you want always to relabel these, you just come back to the layer, go to Tongo editing, go to the layer. Okay, yes, open attribute table. Then there's a pencil here. Just click on that pencil. It makes it editable. So when you come here inside there, so to look for this, you see the underline have. I come and click on the 4 here. It is selected. Are you seeing here that it's selected? So after being selected, I can come here and I type. Like I don't know the name, but if I was to type here, or I can bring back my map. So what I did is called Busesa. So I come back here, the attribute table. So it's called Busesa. So I can say Busesa. What about the other one? So I click the next one. It says called Nabukaru. So I come here, I click there. The name is Nabukaru. So when I finish, what do? You see here, the next is toggling on and off. So I toggle that. Or sorry, the next one is for saving. I click that to save. So when I close and I switch off the map, you see now they are also labeled. So this is basically just an introduction. There are very many things to do, how do you move from here and so forth, but this just was to show you how you can georeference and also digitize polygons, lines and points, where we looked at how to digitize for polygons, looked at lakes, for lines we looked at rivers, and for points we looked at towns, and basics of how to see how they are labeled and so forth. So since I don't want this video to be very long, we can have follow-up videos that show the details of the others. So thank you very much and have a good morning or a good afternoon or a good night, depending on when you listening to this video. Thank you.